but we have clear descriptions of strange things that started to occur in the Jewish community. And this is something that you have to start to understand, and I warn myself and the Muslims in the same thing, is that when you start to have a community that is so closed in and believes that we are the chosen people, there starts to get an arrogance that is built in, and thinking that they are infallible or superior because there's something special in them, instead of the superiority of knowing that it is the belief in the Lord that counts. And that belief is only what gives you the light, not power or control of any of the earthly methods. And so even though the children of Israel were greatly increased in knowledge, I mean the knowledge of the earth and the powers of the earth and the powers of the other dimensions were greatly increased to the believers in the Lord amongst the children of Israel, more than anybody else and any other community of believers in the Lord in the chain of our story so far. Slowly, strange ideas and thoughts start to creep into the believers, possibly because of the infiltration of the other jinn races and thoughts of bringing in misunderstandings. And so we have to go back to the fundamentals of faith. The fundamental of faith is La ilaha illallah. There's only one God. Don't worship any other God besides God. And thou shalt not make any graven images. No paganism, pure belief in God. Now we know that it's different times that the Jews started to have some strange ideas, such as calling Ezra the son of God, and other strange concepts started to bring in, and possibly because of the desire to know the knowledge of all the secret elements of the world, you started to see strange things. At one point we even have clear reference that what? Something weird happened. And before I tell you what was very weird, because I told you one thing we're going to do on the HotConflict.com series is tell you things that are weird and strange. But they're undoubtedly true and clearly in the tales and the books for anybody to go and learn. We said the fundamentals of faith that all prophets have taught us from the very beginning of Adam was that there is only one God. He created angels that are created from light and have wings, and they obey their Lord and do not disobey. There are jinns of many races, and they come in all shapes and sizes. They are made of smokeless fire and are part of the unseen world. Some of them believe and some of them disbelieve. Satan, Lucifer, was one of those jinn races, and he has an army to misguide mankind, and we are at war. The Jews understood this, and they were fighting that war. But somewhere along the way, things started to get messed up. Now, continuing in our fundamentals of faith, that there are going to continue to be prophets, continuing to send books, and that one day your soul will be judged, because you are made of soul. And Allah is the judge. And there is punishment and reward, and in heaven and hell, that is eternal and everlasting. But people within the community of the Jews started to do some strange experiments, to the point that we know that they even started to try and create life themselves. Now, if you study modern day ufologists, or people who have studied and communicated with the jinn races, both benevolent and malevolent, you know that some of the other jinn races have been trying to create life for God knows how many hundreds of years. And they've even been able to clone some of their race. We know that some of the greens or grays are cloned, and some of the other Palladians, I believe, are able to clone, and you'll have to do some of the research on your own on what some of the modern day scientists refer to some of the jinn races. And they've been able to clone, but they were never able to make a life. They've made automaton clones. Some of the jinns are not able to have free will and don't have choice. They act as robots. We're not talking about machine robots like Terminators. We're talking about cloned alien jinn race. Now, why do I mention that, and why does that sound so strange? Well, we get to a point in the story where many of the Jewish mystic leaders were getting so misguided in their search for the spiritual world that they started to mess with elements. Now we said their knowledge was different from the jinn knowledge. They got their knowledge from Solomon, who understood the elements of the earth. And there are clear stories of rabbis who were able to develop and try and make life that they called golem out of clay and mud like men. But just like the alien races, the Jewish mystics, even with their knowledge of the earth, made golem, but they were not living. They didn't have souls. They were automatons made of clay and mud and of flesh like us, because they understood how we were created from the flesh of the earth, from the clay and mud of the earth, and they got that knowledge from Solomon, but they abused it in a way to try and make life. And stories of golem are around. And it's important because things like that got so messed up, and the idea of what is important got lost. And so you have to go back and remember who you were and what were the fundamentals of faith. You were supposed to remember that there's only one God, and that there's going to be prophets and there's going to be books, and all of this is destined. You are the descendants of the believers of the true faith, from Moses and Joseph and Jacob and Isaac, all the way to who in this story? If you don't remember, go back. And you are the descendants of the true father of our faith, as the Prophet Muhammad told us, which is who? Abraham. Now, it's important that we remember the story and understand what point in the development of the world we're in. The chosen people have now started to do something that is a strange aberration because they want to make life. And the challenge that Abraham told to his people was very clear. Remember the challenge. My Lord, our Lord, La ilaha illa huwa, the one that the true believers and the descendants of the light always believe. There is only one God, the one who created the universe. Our Lord, Abraham said, is the one who makes life and takes life. And then we see the jinn races have tried to create life and they weren't able to, and they've cloned some of their races. And the Jewish community started to do the same thing. And trying to understand the different elements and figure out what is the way to control the different parts of the earth and figure out what are the mystical ways to manipulate the earth around us. And evil started to incorporate their thoughts, and they started to forget what was the true message of the light. And I say this with all due respect to my brothers and sisters who are the ones holding the light, that obviously there have been places of misguidance. But the story that is true is always the story that is true. Some of the people of the children of Israel remained on the truth, believing in the one true Lord, and knowing that there were going to come signs. And so as things got worse and worse, and strange factions developed in the children of Israel, God sent one of the next prophets that Muslims believe in wholeheartedly. And if you're Christians, were starting to get into some interesting parts in this story. So my Christian brothers and sisters, wake up and pay attention. Because here's the part of the story that gets so funky. And if I told you that you're going to hear the truth, told you in the strangest way that you've ever heard it before, then here's where it starts to really get trippy. We are at war. It's a spiritual war. It's a war over the light versus the darkness, the truth versus falsehood. You are the descendants of Adam, protecting your line and protecting your blood in the true race of men that God had made from his own hand. Ooh, I told you the story's about to get strange. Because here comes at the time when the Jews are trying to figure out all the secret knowledge of all the different elements. A prophet is sent with a very simple message. A prophet named John, coming to the people of the tribes of Israel, reminding them a very simple fact. You're here to remember to worship the Lord. You want to know how to increase yourself in light? Oh, my brothers and sisters, and those of you who say that you don't understand the truth. We say that we are Muslims and we are the ones who submit to the true Lord. La ilaha illallah, there's only one God. The light, the nur. John, our great prophet, comes and tells the people of the true faith, says, you are searching for the light. And if you're searching for the light and you want to know the truth, there has always always been the clear sign. And if you look back from the stories, from the beginning that I've told you till now, you know what the message of John was. You want to purify your soul and you want to increase yourself in the light. The way you do that is with the same sign that you have been given. It's with water.